the pressure to perform, the pressure to produce, the pressure to prove. It's Christmas Eve. I have a house full of relatives. I'm sitting between my children, and the house is full of holiday cheer. Everything feels right in this moment. And then my phone buzzes. One email, one line, one attachment, and something in me flutters. It doesn't feel right. Have you ever been in a moment where on the one hand, everything feels right, and then all of a sudden, something doesn't feel right? In a few seconds, I make a decision, and I forward the email. Fast forward 7 years. There's a moment when time stands still. It holds, suspended. I'm standing in a room where every sound feels amplified. The shuffle of a paper, the clearing of a throat. My heart's beating so fast I can feel it in my fingertips. I've spent my career in rooms like this. I'm an attorney. I understand risk, I understand documentation, I understand consequences. But in this moment, I had no control. I stand and I wait. I wait for a single phrase that will arguably change the rest of my life. Rashmi Airan, you are hereby sentenced to 1 year and 1 day in federal prison. I did not wake up one day and just decide to compromise my integrity. I'm an Ivy League attorney, a Wall Street investment banker, a high performer, a mother of 2 children, the daughter of Indian immigrants. But I made decisions under pressure and speed and noise and the complexity and uncertainty of life that I never slowed down enough to question. And that's how it begins. Not in dramatic scandals, but in small, fast, defensible moments. I believe we're all stuck in these self-imposed prisons that look like glass walls that you can't see. Because I don't lack intelligence. I didn't have bad intention. But I was stuck in a place and I was operating inside something that I didn't realize. If you've ever felt like you've had to move fast, if you've been under pressure, if you've had a client breathing down your neck and you've got to make a decision fast, you've experienced a self-imposed prison. And in my experience, there are 3 factors that create our self-imposed prison. Pressure, perception, and pace. The pressure to perform, the pressure to produce, the pressure to prove. This is a moment when a deadline is looming and you don't have all the information. A client needs something right away and you need to answer him. Your client, your boss, your team is waiting for you, is sitting with you, and you don't have the answer. So instead of reflecting, you make a decision. Have you ever made a decision but you don't actually have all the information? You didn't actually evaluate it enough? Or ask for a second opinion? Or ask for help? Not because it's the best decision, but you make it because it gets the decision off your plate. It's not a character issue. It's basically you let pressure drive the decision. And then there's perception. The need to be right, the need to be respected, the need to not look wrong. And underneath all of that is fear. The fear of what people say, the fear of being exposed, the fear of being wrong. And then everyone will see it. This is the moment when you don't ask a question because you're worried that you don't actually know the answer. Or you don't ask for help because you don't want to look weak. And in your head, it sounds like, maybe I'm overthinking this. Maybe everybody else who's been here longer knows something I don't know. And if I speak up, then maybe I'm going to be looked upon badly. So you just stay quiet. It's not intentional, but you stop worrying about being right because you're worried about how you're going to be seen and how will it look and your reputation. And then there's pace. Faster is better, faster is rewarding, faster gets you achievement and results and awards and jobs and clients and promotions. You don't even realize you're doing it because faster, speed, stops being a strategy. It becomes your identity. It becomes what everybody else is doing, your colleagues, your clients, your competition, your peers. So you feel like you've got to operate in speed. And this is the moment where you make the decision before you actually have done all the homework. Research shows that when you're under pressure and speed, the compression of your brain narrows your thinking, not because you're careless, not because you don't care, not because you're incapable, but because your thinking narrows. You're thinking small. Not intentionally, it just happens. Your brain can't handle more. So this is compression, and unless you actually have a process to break apart the compression and actually expand it from autopilot, you're gonna think small. And that's called the drift. And the drift is not something that you're trying to do intentionally. And unless we have a way to interrupt how the drift operates, we're gonna continue to run on autopilot. And I believe this is a modern leadership challenge. It's not intelligence, it's not integrity, it's not ethics, it's awareness. How do we find clarity and awareness in every moment when the stakes are high? You have guardrails for your processes. So you have standard operating procedures and compliance, and then you have guardrails for your outputs. So you have quality control, things like that. But what we don't have is guardrails for our thoughts. And I believe that when we can institute a mental process for guardrails around our thoughts on how we make better decisions, that will change everything.